Hello there, welcome to Football on 5. All the action coming up from across the EFL at the end of a week where 3 more managers lost their jobs. And Steven Gerrard was linked with the vacancy at MK Dons.
And who better to discuss the stresses and strains of management than Alan Curbishley and the Barnet boss, Martin Allen. And we're delighted to see you, Martin. It hasn't been an ordinary week. You were due to have heart surgery. What happened?
Well, it wasn't so much surgery, it was more of a procedure. I've had some tests with the League Managers Association up at Burton, and some things not quite right. Nothing major, thankfully, at the moment. But hopefully very soon everything gets sorted.
And hopefully your team didn't give you too much stress today. We'll see how you got on later on in Goal Rush. And here is what else is coming up.
Wigan are finding life tough back in the Championship, but would they be jumping for joy at Barnsley?
Morgan's header made brilliant contact with it.
Goals have been hard to come by for Ipswich. They face Nottingham Forest, who've had no problem scoring, but just can't keep them out.
And Ian Holloway was back on Rangers patrol, looking to provide a lift at Loftus Road.
And we start with 2 new managers who took charge of their teams for the first time in the Sky Bet Championship today. Paul Lambert and Wolves were away at Preston.
We're going to go to Loftus Road, though, first, where Ian Holloway there is back in charge at QPR, the club where he's played and managed 422 times. The visitors were Norwich, and Holloway was in charitable mood just before kick-off.
How you doing? Do you need any tea or coffee or anything? No. You sure? Fine, thanks. That's the last thing we'll give you.
Tea but no sympathy on offer at Loftus Road, where Martin Olsen almost immediately had a crack at solving Norwich's goalkeeping debate. The defender's red card for handball left Michael McGovern's actual replacement, John Ruddy, in the firing line inside the opening 2 minutes of his first league start since early August. A presence which proved too intimidating for Charon Cherry. So nearly the perfect start for Ian Holloway, but the prospect of playing almost the entire match against 10 men was a pretty strong consolation. Connor Washington soon made QPR's numerical advantage count. Holloway reckons returning to the club's made him feel like an astronaut. No one could be happier or higher, and he was surely off into orbit when Sebastian Poulter doubled the lead. That left Norwich seemingly doomed to extend what's currently the longest losing run in the Championship. From Russell Martin's wayward pass, Washington would have pushed them even closer to a 4th successive defeat, but for Ruddy's resistance. City's hopes of avoiding that fate were briefly raised when the home side gave the boss a glimpse of where things may have been going wrong. Amid some panicky defending, Stephen Naismith ensured a tense finish before Holloway could put the kettle on and reflect on a job well done.
We got two great goals, I must admit. I think the second goal, the pass from Sharon Cherry and the finish from Poltz was brilliant. Connor Washington, keep talking about him. I want him to be a centre forward, and he scored. So that was great. But the game in this level, you need to really kill someone off, particularly if they got 10 men. We gave them a fillet. We dropped too deep. There's lots I can do, but I can't thank the lads enough. They've given me everything. I've got to go and lie down now.
We've went all week working about how we're going to play in different things, and then to be honest, after 30 seconds it's all out the window. Do you know what I mean? Because you're a man down and then you need to sort of adjust from there.
Paul Lambert's managerial reign at Wolves started with a trip up the M6 to Preston, where initially it was mainly one-way traffic. The home side very much in the driving seat, with Paul Gallagher just lacking the finishing touch. Simon Grayson's side have lost just once in 8 league games, which is in stark contrast to Wolves, who haven't won since September. And they were wobbling at the back again when Simon Mackieenock almost broke the deadlock. But as the chances came and went, the mood at Deepdale wasn't helped by a penalty claim that Preston felt should have gone their way. First, Marnik Vermeil and then Daniel Johnson were both sent flying in the area, and in the ensuing chaos, the follow-up from Aidan McGeady was scant consolation. Having survived that scare, Wolves finally roused themselves as an attacking force. First, Dominic Iorfa and then Jon Dadi Bodvarsson gave Preston something to think about. A lack of goals is one of the reasons that Wolves have struggled a bit this season, and that's something that Lambert will want to improve, and quickly. This effort from Nua Dicko was the first time they actually hit the target. Defensive errors have also been costly, and another here from Courtney Howes in the last minute threatened to be decisive. Luckily for him and his new manager, Jordan Hugill didn't have his goal-scoring boots on, and the Lambert era at Wolves is off to an unbeaten start.
To get a point's a really good start for us, and that's all it is, a start, but the level of energy and the way it's been beforehand was great.
So 2 unbeaten starts, a point for Lambert there, and 3 for Ian Holloway. It's so good to have him back as well. Albeit Alan Curbishley, he was given a big and unexpectedly early helping hand.
As Alex Neil said, you know, you train all week and then after 30 seconds, your game plan's gone out the window, and Ian couldn't have wished for a better start, except that they didn't take the penalty. It's a definite penalty and a sending off.
What on earth is he doing?
Well, sometimes you should just get caught up in it, don't you? And that's what Olsen has done. But they missed the penalty, so it didn't work out fully for Ian, but at the end of it, it was a good performance. They got the 3 points and deserved to win. And
he did the old, I'll pretend I'm injured for a bit, I've got a bit of a sore back, and hopefully when I get up, the ref will have just forgotten what I've done.
You just have a moment sometimes. You just have a moment as a player sometimes, don't you? And you've seen the ball cross the line.
You just hope it's not 30 seconds in or whatever it was. Martin, how pleased will Ian Holloway have been with what his team went on to do after that first minute or so?
I don't think Ian Holloway gets the credit he deserves. I was lucky enough to watch his team up at Blackpool training, the team that he took up into the Premier League, and they used to play some fantastic football. He's done a fantastic job. It's a brilliant ball. A brilliant ball, and I really do think it's going to be on the up. And QPR, I think, needed somebody like him, a character like him, to galvanise the club again after what has been a really difficult few years.
Norwich, another wobble, 4 straight defeats. What do we think's happening there?
Well, I think that the start of the season, I think that was in most people's minds as perhaps with Newcastle as favourites to go up, and they did start off very well, but we're having a terrible run at the moment, and home and away. They just can't seem to get it right, and I think Alex Neil's coming under a little bit. We talk a lot about managers coming under pressure. Because the prize is so great to get back into that Premier League, you know, he's just coming under a little bit of pressure. He needs to pick a couple of results up.
Is Alex Neil in trouble, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think he's a fantastic manager. How unfortunate for today to lose a player after 17 seconds. And as he rightly says, all his plans have gone out. QPR are a decent team with decent players, playing against them with 10 men. You've got to brush that one away, and on you go. 4
defeats in a row, though. Fans do get restless.
They do get restless, yes. They get restless after one game. We all know that now, and everywhere you go, people, as soon as you lose, they want you sacked and replaced. It never works, really, when you keep changing.
I think they've got decent owners at Norwich now. I think they understand the situation, and, you know, disappointment last year. Give them a chance to try and take the club back up.
I don't think you get restless after one game. You just get really annoyed, don't you, generally? Anyway, 2 more games to come now, so hopefully you're not restless after these 2 in a moment. 4th place Reading against Burton, who are in 18th.
Yeah, but first, it's one-time leaders Huddersfield, now 3rd against Cardiff in 21st.
Cardiff improved their situation with a win against Huddersfield and 3 first-half goals. The 15th-minute opener coming from former Terrier Sean Morrison, his first since last November. With the Bluebirds losing their last 2, manager Neil Warnock tweaked his tactics, giving Junior Hoylett freedom to get forward. And that paid off when Danny Ward couldn't hold on to Anthony Pilkingson's shot, and Hoylett was on hand to make it 2 goals in as many minutes. Huddersfield have now picked up just 1 win in their last 6 in the league, although they were back in it when Casey Palmer's pass found Tommy Smith ghosting in. No wonder Cardiff ignored him. In over 100 league games for the Terriers, Smith had never previously scored. Within 5 minutes, Lee Peltier floated in a free kick, Morrison nodded it down, and Ricky Lambert restored the home side's 2-goal cushion with a neat half volley. Warnock's Bluebirds have won 3 out of 6 in the league since his arrival in South Wales, although this was far from comfortable. Philip Billings' truly stunning effort on 70 minutes, putting things in the balance. Cardiff held on, but Huddersfield continued to drift.
We deserved it. I thought the result flattered Huddersfield a little bit today, but you know, good conditions. I can't fault anybody today. I thought everyone put a shift in today, and Huddersfield too. I mean, they had some quality. I mean, the second goal of theirs, you know, unbelievable, isn't it? So, you know, overall, I thought we deserved to win.
With Reading on a roll, how Burton Albion could have done with a breakthrough at the Madejski Stadium. But once Chris O'Grady's header had been cleared off the line by Danny Williams and the follow-up efforts repelled, Jaap Stam's men could press on with the task of racking up a 4th straight win without conceding. Burton's unconvincing attempts to clear meant big trouble midway through the first half. Roy Barron's able to count on Dominic Samuel's desire to mark his first championship start with a goal. Considering Nigel Clough's side had failed to score in 4 of their last 5 league games, Burton's prospects looked bleak. And by half-time, the Royals were as good as home and dry. Another ball across the 6-yard box, another goal. Williams on the end of Jordan Obita's cross. Stam had warned his men they were up against tough and physical opponents, just the type of challenge he relished as a player. And his team took it in their stride too. Yaku Mata's shot saved before the unfortunate John Brayford confirmed Burton's defeat. Tight at the back, sharp up front, Stam could be onto something good.
The result is very pleasing, of course, because 3-0, you don't have that often. We had it now twice in a row, so it's always good, and we're happy with that. The performance itself, I think first half we played very well. Created a couple of very good chances. First 5 minutes it was a bit like searching because we played a bit different than what we normally do. But after that we controlled the game, created chances, scored two good goals, and very happy with that.
4 wins in a row, 4 clean sheets then for Reading. A few eyebrows raised when Jaap Stam got the job, Martin, being his first managerial position. What's your verdict on how well he's done so far?
Well, I've been down to see him play a few times, and they are the closest thing I've seen to a Barcelona, Manchester City type team. They keep possession right from the goalkeeper. They're very often passing it around the back, waiting for openings. He's been very, very brave with how they've asked him to play. A complete transition from football that we've seen at the Madacey Stadium before. He's been very brave, and they're getting the results, and the players are looking very confident, and they have got some very, very good players.
If they add a prolific striker in January as well to that mix, can they be promotion contenders?
Well, I think that's the big thing. Firstly, if the owners can see that they've got a chance of gaining promotion, and can they attract that top striker? And the only way they can do that is by staying in the top 6, and even better. But I'm with Martin. I think that the first thing Jaap Stam had to do was educate the players in the way he wanted them to play, and then the crowd. Because I think early on the crowd were, whoa, complaining, get it up front and whatever, and he stuck to his guns, and they're playing some terrific football.
They're buying into it now, and that moves them above Huddersfield in the table as well after their defeat to Cardiff. A big win for Neil Warnock today. Junior Hoylett got the second goal, one of Warnock's free transfers that he brought in, Martin. He's looking like a real coup, do you think? Oh,
he is a good player. He is a good player. He never had a club. He was, he was looking around everywhere to try and get a club, and he really has come alive with Neil Warnock, who's given him licence to attack and not really track back and defend, and it's paid its dividends. They're playing with 3 up front. He's playing up on the right, and with Kevin Blackwell there and Ronnie Jepson, Neil's got a really good team, and he's sprinkling his gold dust once again.
He is. A tough time coming up, though. He's got Villa and Brighton next. Right, coming up, a tricky winter's day for defenders in Blackburn, and a moment to forget for Brentford's Harley Dean. Welcome back to Football on 5. Our next action features 2 sides who started the day in the Sky Bet Championship bottom 3.
Yes, in a moment we'll have a look at how Rotherham got on at Derby. First, it's Blackburn against Brentford.
What struggling Blackburn badly required was a good start against Brentford. What they got was the sight of Scott Hogan bearing down on their goal inside the very first minute. After 4 games without scoring, the Bees striker wasn't going to pass up that opportunity. 33 seconds was all it had taken to rip Owen Coyle's plans apart. But the blistering start set the tone for a thrilling 45 minutes as Rovers came roaring back. Craig Conway crossing for Sam Gallagher, who brought the best out of Daniel Bentley. The home side continued to prove as slippery as that sodden surface. Another Conway cross finished up at the feet of Derek Williams, with Danny Graham at the head of the queue to put Blackburn back on level terms. He spent all bar the opening day of October sidelined by injury, and this month is intent on making up for lost time. After Josh Clark's challenge carried the Bees defender and Corey Evans almost off the pitch, Graham was handed the chance to complete Blackburn's outstanding turnaround. From a goal down to 2-1 up, all in the space of the first 20 minutes, and the excitement showed no sign of waning. Jason Steele sparing Darragh Lenihan the embarrassment of putting through his own net, as Brentford raised the prospect of a comeback of their own. All it took was a neat pass from Nico Yeneris, and Hogan was into double figures for the season, emphatically back on song. This match was the campaign in a nutshell for Brentford boss Dean Smith, who'd urged his players to be more consistent. Skipper Harley Dean, who became a dad during the international break, now has another reason for a sleepless night. His own goal giving Blackburn 3 much-needed points.
It was more straightforward at the iPro Stadium, where Steve McLaren's second spell in charge is looking like a stroll in the park. That's also what Jacob Butterfield was invited to do as he teed up Tom Ince, whose quick feet brushed Darnell Fisher into a challenge he would regret. So up stepped Ince from the spots, and even though at first he didn't succeed, he tried again and found a way to beat Lee Camp. Kenny Jackett is still looking for his first win in charge of a Rotherham side who just couldn't get to grips with Butterfield. Another lung-busting run would end in more Derby success, this time with Darren Bent's third goal of the season. Rotherham have the worst away record in the league, and they were in full damage limitation mode by the time Alex Pearce was kept out by Camp. There was precious little for the travelling faithful to enjoy, although Joe Newell did offer a brief respite from the onslaught at the other end. But McLaren is yet to concede a goal at home in his second spell, and crucially, Ince just can't stop scoring for him at the other end. This would be his 4th goal in 2 games, as the home side threatened to run riot. Rotherham's survival hopes look bleak, with just 1 league win all season and a huge gap between them and the rest. And when Ince was brought down again, the scoreline and their goal difference looked likely to get another pummelling. But a second penalty from Ince would go begging, thanks to more heroics from Camp. The Rotherham keeper's performance was a rare positive on another tough day at the office for his defence. Maciej Vidra frustrated by another fine save, but that is still 4 wins out of 6 for Derby and counting.
Yeah, Steve McLaren reckons that he should spend a bit of time practising his penalties now, Tom Ince, in his back garden. Strange old day for him. 2 missed penalties, 2 goals. How is McLaren getting the best out of Ince, who is on this great run? And he was previously, when McLaren was there, scoring goals. And Bent, who scored in back-to-back games, actually for the first time since McLaren was there last time. How's he doing it?
Well, I think that obviously a change of manager. I think that obviously it wasn't right at the start of the season when Nigel went in there, and the players have responded. We've seen it in the Premier League with you know, Chelsea last year, new manager, they suddenly respond. I think Steve McLaren's probably gone back in there a little bit more relaxed than he was last time. I think that the disappointment of the playoff and not going up, I think he's probably gone in there now. He knows the players, he knows the club. I think he's probably just allowing them to get on with it a little bit more.
15 goals in 24 games Ince scored under McLaren. It's 13 in 52 games under the other managers they've had. Why is it, Martin, your experience, that some players respond to certain managers but not others?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think there's a definitive black and white answer. Psychology of how you speak to people, how you treat people.
But have you had players where you've thought, I know I can get the best out of him, so I'll bring him with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And there are other players where I don't like their attitude or values, and you know, I try to get them out the door if you can, which is easier said than done. But no, Tom certainly has responded very, very well. He'll be disappointed with those penalties today, but Steve has done a very good job. And we mustn't forget, Nigel Pearson's been a very successful manager at that level, getting a promotion with Leicester, keeping him in the Premier League and building that team to win the Premier League before Ranieri took over. So Steve has got a big task, but can they, that'll be the question, keep it going right to the end of this season, whereas before they faltered when it came to the spring.
And we should say as well, great result for Blackburn, really key result for Owen Coyle. Plenty more action on the way next. Wigan in serious need of points at the bottom. They were at Oakwell, where there was plenty of smoke, but was there any fire?
Welcome back to Football on 5. Our next action features the 2 teams who came up from League One together but have made differing starts to life in the Sky Bet Championship.
Yes, Barnsley are sitting comfortably enough in mid-table. Wigan, they're in the bottom 3 and hoping that new boss Warren Joyce can get them moving upwards. Commentary at Oakwell from Paul Walker.
Wigan, they've had a good record here. They've won their last 3 fixtures at Oakwell, scoring 9, conceding just 1. Now a chance for Wigan to burst through the centre. And it's Perkins who's leading it. It's laid off here. And queuing up in the centre, it's Perkins. And it's straight at Adam Davis. He hasn't scored a goal, David Perkins, since scoring for Barnsley some 4 years ago. Hourahan, he's the key man in the middle of the pitch for Barnsley. Here's Scowen though. Yeardom, the former Barnet captain. Not a bad looking delivery either. It's a good header and wide from Winnall. Lovely ball in from Yeardom. A delicious cross, and Winnall gets there first. Well, his team have been up against it for the first half an hour. Adam Jackson for Barnsley. Yeardom. Kent's on the move. And beating Burke. Laid off here for Hourahan and headed in by Sam Winnall. There's a flag. He is offside. It will not count. Frustration for Sam Winnall, who thought he'd scored here. Hourahan shot, and you can see he is offside quite clearly, Sam Winnall. Usually it's Wigan's Will Grigg on fire, but here we've got a floodlight on fire at Oakwell. You can see the smoke billowing from one of the fuse boxes by the looks of it, which is why we have had a delay at the start of this second half. Yeardom's throw, Armstrong. Yeardom's cross towards Winnall. Headed out by Buxton. Bree! Well, he came onto the ball, the 18-year-old James Bree. How close was it? It was always curling away from goal. This is Vilchuk for Wigan. Has to do this all himself. He is powering through, and Roberts is going with him. Well, he's done really well, the big Dutchman. He's hardly had anything to work with, but he had one thing on his mind here. Driving into the Barnsley box, only to be stopped by Roberts. Wigan with this corner. Taken by Garbutt. Morgan's header. Made brilliant contact with it. Gets in front of Roberts and tried to plant it into the bottom corner. It's a really good header, actually. Perks of the job, eh? Called out to a fire that's almost out by the time you get here. So why not stick around and watch the footy? Armstrong giving Morgan a problem. It's Armstrong! Went for the spectacular. We made that all on his own, Adam Armstrong. Tried to bend it for the top corner. I tell you what, he's not far away from finding it. That is an excellent attempt. His team continue to be on top in this. Jacobs. Blasted clear by Yeardom. Winnall gets a touch and he's hauled to the floor by Craig Morgan. And I think Jeremy Simpson will want to take Morgan's name down. Morgan knew he was in trouble because Winnall had nicked the ball from him. And Morgan reacts by pulling Winnall down. Swung in by Kent, it's dangerous. And almost an own goal by the looks of that. A wicked ball in from Ryan Kent. And the man who gave the free kick away initially has flicked it away. Morgan winning that one. Buxton with not a great back pass. And then Hourahan went down under Buxton's challenge. Buxton body checks Hourahan. I don't think there's a great deal in it, but there was certainly an appeal there from Conor Hourahan. Yeardom sends it in. Turned clear only as far as Bradshaw. And now it's Hourahan! And Jaskalainen hardly had to move. Well, the fans thought this was their moment.
The situation we're in, I thought, showed a tremendous amount of character, really, and resilience. You know, it's a thing to build on, you know, which all teams want. whether the top of the Premier League or bottom of the Football League, you've got to have that in your side, but then you've got to have the other things as well, where we've got some quality about our play that we can hurt them, you know, with the clever things that we do.
Oh, Barnsley started the season so well, but a third straight draw, a frustrating day as well, the second 0-0 for them in a row. But a first point, Alan, for Warren Joyce. Just how tough a job has he taken on, do you think, moving from reserve team coach at Manchester United, a position he held for a long time, to then managing in the Championship?
Well, different responsibilities. I think when you're an under-21 manager and, you know, your brief is to improve the young players, try and bring them through the system. Results don't really matter that much. You know, you're trying to bring players through. But once you become a manager, you know, the result is the be-all and end-all, and that's what he's going to find out very quickly.
Huge job he's taken on there as well. Do you worry for Wigan that they could go straight back down?
It's a big job. It's a big job for him. Big transition, like Alan said. He's been at Manchester United, I think, for about 8 years. So to go into Wigan, but you've got to remember, they only got promoted. It's always difficult in that first season going up. Maybe with a little bit of tinkering in the January window, maybe using his contacts back at Manchester United to bring in some young players to help him, and I'm sure Warren will do very well.
Well, he's got a point at least to start up. He was in the frame, actually, Warren Joyce, as Steve Bruce's assistant at Aston Villa. That role is now going to be filled instead by Colin Calderwood.
Yeah, he quit his job as Brighton assistant manager on the eve of Villa's visit to the Amex on Friday night. Commentary comes from Andy Hinchcliffe and Daniel Mann.
And here's Sidwell, looking for Knockaert, finding him beautifully, and Bruno's off on the charge inside. Marvey deemed guilty of a foul by the assistant on this near side, Ian Cooper. Well, what can Knockaert's left foot conjure here for Brighton? That's not what he hoped for.
You've got to aim 3/4 of the way up that far post. You can't be trying to score from there. The angle is against you. You've got to try and whip the ball and get your teammates running across the goalkeeper.
Oh, Kodja able to win it back, and despite Duffy's attempts seeking to get Villa moving, and they'll win a free kick here. Look out the guilty man on Gardner.
Trying to beat a goalkeeper of David Stockdale's quality from here is surprising.
Seems to be a little bit of concern about where Gardner is here, but the flick header is tremendous! And Nathan Baker has struck for Aston Villa. Well, what a terrific start for the visitors here at the Amex. The set piece has paid dividends for them on the road again.
Well, Nathan Baker makes the very most of a pretty average free kick. He wanted to play this a bit deeper, Adoma. He underhits it, but Nathan Baker's alive. It's a brilliant flick header. The keeper will be pretty disappointed. He's a cross. And he get a stronger arm on this and keep it out, but a wonderful start for Villa.
Well, Brighton needing to be roused from a first-half slumber, really, here. The supporters trying to do that. Murray trying to do that. Shot is on! And when he gets a chance, that's what happens. The man who could be the difference for Brighton this season, Glenn Murray, into double figures.
That is a devastating finish. It's all about experience. When you've not really been involved in the game, when you have a chance like this to bury it so comfortably as this, top class.
A crucial goal and a milestone goal, his 150th in league football. Into Baldock. That could be useful. Murray is there! And so often the net bulges in that situation.
6 inches low, and that's 2-1.
Doma and Grealish looking to conjure something. He's curled one, and it got a deflection. Oh, and it was Kodja's header which clipped the frame of the goal.
Kodja can't get over it enough. If this is on target, I think he scores.
Here's Grealish, threatening to walk right through it. Adoma. That could be useful! Oh, and Stockdale has to make the save. It was Kodja who rose again.
He gets too much on this, Kodja. Just needs to flick it, help it on its way, and the keeper won't be able to get near it. Is it a clean header? Does it come off his shoulder? I think it does, that's why.
New gaffer, came in, and now everything has changed, and we're buzzing around Villa Park, and away games we're doing well, and like today the performance, it showed, you know, and that's what we have to maintain now.
Most people would look at Villa and think that they're in a false position. You know, for whatever reason they didn't start the season too well. But one thing that we have to keep looking at is that every game we play is a difficult game, and our levels have to be good. You know, possibly on another occasion this might have been a game that we would have lost. We certainly didn't deserve to lose, and I generally think a draw is a fair result.
Villa have dropped 17 points from winning positions this season. They'd actually be top if they hadn't have done that, but that's just a fact, I guess. Alan, you were there last night. The positives, 6 unbeaten under Steve Bruce. And they're singing his name, a former Birmingham City manager.
Yeah. And you know what? They got stronger as the game went on, you know, which is always a good sign. It was a hard-fought game, and I think Chrissy probably came out of it, you know, the happiest because he got a point, because the second half Villa dominated and perhaps could have took the 3 points.
So Bruce steadying the ship. What about jumping ship? Colin Calderwood and that bit of news moving from the one club to the other, and the timing of it just before the game.
Yeah, I would say that would have been a big blow for Chris. Colin's an excellent coach, very, very good coach. He's had experience in management as well. And to go just 5 days before the game, it's a big club, Aston Villa. I can see why he would go, but for Chris and Brighton, he's going to be big shoes to fill.
Well, Houghton said he was surprised, Alan, and disappointed by this.
He would be, because I think they've been together for, you know, a lot of years. And
why do you think he has gone?
Well, I think perhaps family reasons. I understand Colin lives in Northampton and, you know, travelling to Brighton. But, you know, as a manager, you know, Chrissy, you know, he's sitting there second in the league thinking, you know, I don't want to bid for Knockout, I don't want to bid for Murray, I don't want to bid for Dunk. Then suddenly an offer comes in for the assistant manager or first-team coach. So now it's a big blow to him. He's now got to go and replace him, and hopefully he gets it right.
Very quickly, do Villa make the playoffs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. What a ridiculous
question. A bit of ground to make up.
A long way to go. A long way to go. And January to strengthen, for sure.
I think that was a yes. Next to the 4 teams just outside the top 6, separated by only a point at the moment, too.
Yeah, we'll see Fulham against Sheffield Wednesday in a moment. But first we go to St Andrews for Birmingham against Bristol City.
Bristol City haven't won at St Andrews for 23 years, which is probably what Clayton Donaldson's current goal drought feels like. He hasn't hit the target since mid-September, but he, Lucas Djukovic and David Davis all went mighty close. Goals just haven't been a problem for Tammy Abraham this season, and he was so nearly at it again, forcing a fine save from Thomas Kuszczak. The Birmingham keeper was in inspired form all afternoon, pulling off another wonderful save to keep Marlon Pack out. Lee Tomlin was the next to try his luck and find Kuszczak and the crossbar saving the Birmingham day. And those missed chances would be decisive. The home side pounced inside the last 10 minutes. Che Adams deadly from close range with his first goal since September. But Lee Johnston's side headed home full of if-onlys and frustration because of referee Tony Harrington's decision to penalise Jonathan Spector when an advantage might have suited them better. Spector got a red card for that challenge on Tomlin, but the 10 men of Birmingham held on.
For me, there's no benefit to us to give him a red card because he plays him through, he's cleaning on goal one-on-one with the pace that we have on the counter with 3 or 4 players attacking the goalkeeper, and the referees stopped it and sent him off. I'd rather him let play go on and give him a yellow. So disappointed because we didn't get any form of advantage there that we needed.
At first I thought it was a little harsh, but I think it was Spector's touch. It's got away from him and he should have perhaps cleared it, and he's put himself in trouble, and I think he's tried to get himself out of it. I think the only thing that probably helped us in some ways was the fact it was a red card, because actually I think there were 4v3 and I'm sure Lee wasn't too happy with it. I think the referee's quick decision probably saved us you know, a chance to perhaps them to go level.
Fulham had won their last 2, Wednesday had lost theirs, but so much for the form book. The Owls went in front on 10 minutes, Barry Bannon and Gary Hooper combining to set up Fernando Forestieri. And Wednesday really should have gone on to add to that lead. Thomas Callas with a kamikaze back header. His blush is spared as David Button's save from Ross Wallace. Then a Route 1 goal kick presented Hooper with an opportunity. only for him to drag it well wide. Wednesday would come to rue those missed opportunities. They could have been out of sight as the hosts seemingly took forever to get going. But midway through the second half, things started to change. Even then, we had to wait 77 minutes for Fulham's first shot on target. Tom Cairney's effort barely troubling Kieran Westwood. But the warning signs were there now, and the Cottagers eventually made their breakthrough as the match went into stoppage time. Scott Malone popping up at the far post with his second of the season. The shared points leave both sides on the fringes of the playoff picture.
It's true, we didn't play good game. It's Sheffield was a better team in the field. They missed many chances, but we showed the character and we pushed at the end. At the end, we scored a goal. At the last 5 minutes, we can win the game.
So a big win for Birmingham. There was no complaints from Gary Rowett about the red card for Jonathan Spector, but Lee Johnson thinking that the referee really should have played the advantage instead of pulling play back. What do you think, Alan?
And it's a learning curve for the ref, because when he sees it again, OK, it is a red card. And I think it's because the tackle was so high, he acted instantly. I mean, if it is...
Look at the reaction from Tammy Abraham, top left. If he gets a good pass here,
absolutely. And it's, you know, we talk about perhaps the players, but it's a real learning curve for the referee.
Lee Johnson said, "Oh, the red does us no good. Just play advantage." Why can't it be both? It's the same passage.
No, that's what I'm saying. He could have played advantage and then gone back and sent Jonathan Spector off, but he already had the whistle to his mouth because the tackle was so high.
Doesn't even have to be a goal-scoring opportunity in the rules as well, just a promising attack as well, which it clearly was. OK, stay with us for more action from the Sky Bet Championship. Ipswich and Mick McCarthy go head-to-head with Philippe Montanier's Nottingham Forest. This is Football on 5 and you're watching highlights from the Sky Bet Championship, where our final match comes from Portman Road.
Ipswich boss Mick McCarthy has been given a hard time by some fans, although his side were just 6 points off the top 6 before kick-off. They faced Nottingham Forest, who'd lost their last 4 on the road. Commentary comes from Don Goodman and Gary Weaver.
Well, every new game is a chance to start again, an opportunity to turn the page and write a new story. Ipswich Town found that out with their victory at Sheffield Wednesday before the international break. And that's exactly now what Nottingham Forest need to do. Everything is on hold right now with a takeover imminent, but stand still in football and it will leave you behind. Forest need a bit of positivity.
Well, they do. They've already, in the not too distant past, been in League One, and they're in danger here.
Well, this is a Sombalonga. That's how to start a game. Barely 20 seconds on the clock. And it's that moment of ecstasy that all goal scorers live for. British Sombalonga has got championship defences on red alert again. Incredible start here. The quickest goal in the championship so far this season, and this is how it came about.
Sombalonga is really well found by Ben Osborne. He's on the same wavelength as his striker. And that is a clinical finish. It's been a perfect start, but not for him. He'll be fuming.
That's a lovely touch from Lawrence to set McGoldrick away. It's McGoldrick! Big save of Stojkovic. Wonderful approach play. All that was lacking was the finish.
Oh, what a flick that is. I mean, McGoldrick's still got a lot to do, but cuts inside. But if he rolls that on the ground, I think he scores. And that perhaps is the difference between a real ruthless, clinical finisher. Decent save, but it was a nice hike for the goalkeeper.
Well, this place got pretty toxic towards the end of the draw here against Rotherham. First time Rotherham had picked up a point away from home. That was the last home game here before Ipswich went to Sheffield Wednesday and won. Mick McCarthy was hoping for a bit of a quick start here this evening. There was a quick start, but it was made by Forest. Kasami leading the breakout for Forest. That was a thumping challenge by McGoldrick. They will have got the ball, but went through Kasami, and it's booked.
It's over-aggressive, and the referee has no choice, really, but to give him a yellow card.
Lansbury finds a Sombalonga. Osborne across the near post in the middle, went beyond him, and Berra stretching, gets to it. That's Matt Mills. Lehigh with the delivery, Kasami back on the pitch and trying to make an impact. Assombalonga will try and pounce he did! He comes alive inside the penalty area again, and right on half-time, Nottingham Forest double their advantage.
Well, I have to tell you, how easy is this? And it puts a reflection on the scoreline that is probably more accurate with the way this first half has unfolded. Taking advantage of some real shambolic defending from Ipswich Town. It's not very often you say that from Mick McCarthy teams.
Berra, stumble from Berra. Velios has picked out Osborne. He's got Kasami running ahead of him. Osborne finds Lansbury. Here's Lehigh, he's moved to the left-hand side now for Forest. And he gets it back, Eric Lehigh. And Velios with a shot charged down. Kasami thunders the shot against the woodwork. That could have been game over, but Ipswich Town are still here. Just
the ball breaks kindly for Kasami, who you would have fancied, wouldn't you, to stick the ball in the net from there. It's a golden opportunity.
There goes Lawrence again. Knudsen with support on the outside. Lawrence again has drifted past the challenge, and then he looks for the penalty. And the referee had a think about it and gives absolutely nothing.
Well, that's slightly dramatic, the fall, but is he clipped? It's lovely skill again. Is he clipped? No, he's looking for it. And that is not a penalty, and you don't want to see penalties given for that.
Forest are minutes away from their first away win of the season, first clean sheet of the season. But this is Lawrence who steps his way through. Now, was that a penalty that time? Again, the referee adamant that that was not a spot kick.
No, again, not a penalty for me. Perquis isn't doing anything. He's not trying to make a challenge. And Lawrence is looking for that.
And Osborne is giving chase to this. Just got away from him. Nottingham Forest have forgotten about their own troubles, and they are bringing more problems to Ipswich Town's door. A night of first for Forest, their first away win of the season, their first clean sheet of the season. But for Ipswich Town, they simply didn't turn up until the second half.
Conceding after 19 seconds is just... It was carnage then for about 10 minutes. We settled down, but whatever about the first goal, the second goal just before half-time is nothing short of a disgrace to give away. And had we come in at 1-0, who knows?
Very unhappy Mick McCarthy. A first away win for Forest, though, a first clean sheet for them. But it couldn't have been, Martin, a worse start for Ipswich, conceding the fastest goal in the Championship this season, 17 seconds. You can see why Mick's pretty disgusted with the defending here.
Yeah, very disappointed. But they haven't been on a good run, and confidence can quickly go. And it's poor defending there with the left-back getting deeper than the other centre-halves to concede that goal. But the difference between the two teams is Assombalonga. If Ipswich have got a centre-forward that can score goals like he can and put the chances away, because Ipswich had chances today. It's not as if they were absolutely woeful. They did have chances. Mick is a fantastic manager, and he needs to be given time and probably money to replace the lad that went to your team, Newcastle.
Murphy, yeah.
They need someone like Murphy popping up there up the middle, and even when you don't play well, he'll win you a game. And it takes time for him to build it. He sold a left-back to Bournemouth out for 10 million Mings. So he sells all his best players. Everyone expects him to shop at the bottom end of the market and keep winning. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, that certainly does crank up the pressure, though, absolutely right. Rotherham stay bottom of the Sky Bet Championship. 8 points adrift of Wigan. Blackburn have moved above the Latics, but still find themselves 2 points off safety.
Elsewhere, Newcastle play Leeds Sunday. Brighton are 2 further back. Reading have moved above Huddersfield into 3rd. Birmingham up to 5th, and 4 straight defeats sees Norwich drop to 6th. Stay with us. Goal rush on the way. Sky Bet's League 1 and 2 having hit 5 past Bury in the Cup. Wimbledon were shaking the Shakers yet again today. welcome to Goal Rush on Football on 5. Now, forget Honey G, no, me neither, because Stevie G could be about to bring the X Factor to Sky Bet League One.
The former England captain has reportedly, I'm still getting over that, has reportedly been offered the chance to replace Carl Robinson at MK Dons, and following in the footsteps of the likes of Roberto Di Matteo, Paul Ince and Martin Allen, Richie Barker remains in charge for now, and today they were at Bristol Rovers.
Well, if Gerrard fancies starting out his managerial career with a League One relegation candidate, the Dons are a perfect fit. Winless in 7 now in the league after this stalemate, enlivened only by a personal duel between George Baldock and Rovers keeper Keller Roos, the Dutch stopper coming out on top both times. The positive is a first league clean sheet in 7, and they had David Martin to thank for that with a smart low save from Jermaine Easter's late deflected header. Whether it's Gerrard or someone else, the Dons need leadership, and fast.
Despite being 40 miles apart, there's a definite rivalry between Northampton and Peterborough fans, and it was the Cobblers' Sam Hoskins who nearly won a tight match with this deflected shot in stoppage time. But then seconds later, Chris Forrester found space in the box to head home Marcus Maddison's cross and win it for the Posh in front of the biggest ever league crowd at Sixfields.
Millwall haven't won here in the league since 1973, but came into this game off the back of 5 victories in League and Cup. It was Bolton who took the lead though. Josh Vella's excellent strike, his second in 4 games. Bolton are the only side to stop Millwall from scoring in their last 31 games. The Trotters had the better of the chances here, Jay Spearing back after injury, but denied by the crossbar. Bolton had won at the Den 2-0 just last month. Substitute Tom Thorpe made sure of the same scoreline at the Macron. They move within goal difference of the automatic spots.
Well, it was a performance full of character, spirit and honesty, and quality as well. And so we're delighted with the points. Millwall have been on a good run. We know they're going to be up there in and around that top 6, and it was a big win for us.
Sheffield United's bid for a 5th win in 6 league games could hardly have got off to a better start against Shrewsbury. The Blades' cutting edge provided yet again by Billy Sharp, who scored 7 times in his last 5 appearances and would soon get the chance for another. Jim O'Brien may have felt his attempt to play the ball would spare him a red card when he brought down Danny Lafferty, but referee Darren Dedman interpreted that differently. As if this trip wasn't tough enough, the Shrews would now have to face 3/4 of the match with a depleted side, and could only be thankful that Sharp proved uncharacteristically wasteful. Mark Halstead getting the congratulations for keeping the strugglers in the contest, but that optimism was short-lived. Almost immediately, Stefan Skugel continued the impressive revival of his Sheffield United career that's been sparked by Chris Wilder. And worse to come for the visitors, Abu Agogo making no allowances for Mr Dedman's unforgiving mood, and he was off to keep O'Brien company seconds before half-time. Against 9 men, the home side may have expected to run riot. Instead, Louis Dodds surprised them by trying to make a game of it, though ultimately that was only an irritation.
It's a little bit frustrating second half, but you know, we've sent the punters home with 3 points, and we've got 3 points, and we're up to second, and you know, we're 13 unbeaten, so that really says it all for me.
2 informed sides met here, promotion chasing Bradford seeking a 3rd straight win and improving Southend unbeaten in 5 games. And it was the Shrimpers who took the lead through former Bradford midfielder Will Atkinson with his first goal since February. Atkinson had only managed 2 goals in 54 league games in a bantam shirt, but then equalled that tally for the afternoon with a brilliant volleyed second. And Southend's win was sealed late on by a Roman Vassalo own goal. It was only Bradford's 2nd league defeat of the season, but it knocks them out of the automatic promotion spots.
Scunthorpe are used to having things pretty much their own way at Glanford Park, but perhaps not this time. Kevin Von Veen thought he'd scored, so did his teammates, but referee Graham Salisbury didn't. 2 yellow cards in 7 minutes, though, proved costly for Oldham and Paul Green, who was already on his way before Salisbury could find his notebook. But the Oldham man wasn't happy about it. The League One leaders left it late, but finally made the breakthrough with 10 minutes to go. Scott Wiseman keeping his cool and picking his spot to extend the Irons' unbeaten home record to 21 league games. Oldham haven't scored in the league for a month, but Oliver Banks won't come closer. Luke Daniels with a priceless last-minute save.
So this guy has been linked with a manager's job with MK Dons. Some reports, guys, tonight that he's actually been offered it and he's going to turn it down. We will see. My question to you both as experienced EFL managers, why would Steven Gerrard go into management at MK Dons, and why would MK Dons go for someone who hasn't?
Well, I can understand why MK Dons, they've done it before, big names, etc. But Steven Gerrard's nowhere near ready to go into management. He's only just left LA, like 3 or 4 days ago. He's not done the badges, the grounding. And his first job, I don't think, will come with that inexperience. He needs to go and gain some experience.
I guess if any club would give him time, though, to develop, MK Dons would be the one when you look at their track record.
Near the bottom of the league, aren't they? How much time are they going to give him? He needs to go out and learn the business, learn the trade, get the skills, find out what it's really like. He needs to get in amongst it, and I think the best route for him would be to go and work alongside, underneath Jurgen Klopp, see how the different teams work, see how they train, see the psychology, mentality, sports science, study, and then maybe in the future, just because he's been a good player, doesn't mean he's going to be a good manager.
Well, 2 more managerial vacancies were created in League One this week. After a run of 7 straight league defeats, Bury sacked David Flitcroft following the 5-0 FA Cup loss to Wimbledon on Wednesday.
Well, on Monday, Charlton fired Russell Slade. Less than 6 months into the job, they're now searching for an 8th manager since Roland Duchâtelet bought the club in January 2014. Assistant boss Kevin Nugent took charge against Port Vale.
No manager, no problem. Charlton fans and players are used to this situation after all, and Josh McGuinness set the Addicts on their way to a 4th straight home win in all competitions on the half-hour against Port Vale. The visitors are starting to fade after a promising start to the campaign, and they were horribly exposed on the counter just before the interval. Nicky Ajose, who hasn't exactly set the Valley alight since his arrival from Swindon, delighted to deliver the knockout blow.
Bury won't have relished returning to the side where they were thumped 5-0 in the FA Cup midweek, and in the space of 3 first-half minutes, they'll have been praying to get back on the coach. First, Chris Whelpdale put the Dons in front from a Dominic Polion cross, and then Polion, who scored twice in that rout on Tuesday night, profited from Leon Barnett's weak header to double Wimbledon's lead. And Polion was involved again. This time he had Jacob Mellis's back pass to thank. Tom Elliott, back after illness, scored his 4th in his last 5 games. Now that cup defeat cost David Flitcroft his job as Bury boss. His former Chargers didn't help themselves when Niall Mayer brought down George Frankham. Frankham scored his 1st since March. Wimbledon had 4 goals before half-time for the first time in the EFL. 7 straight league defeats have seen Bury drop from 2nd at the end of September to 16th. James Vaughan clawed a goal back with his 2nd in a week. The second half couldn't really live up to the first, though just like on Tuesday night, Wimbledon did add a 5th. Frankham again. 14 goals conceded in 3 games by Bury. 8 defeats on the trot, matches their worst ever run.
No hot seats hotter at the moment than Swindon's. Now Tim Sherwood's there to stoke the flames, but Dale doused his hopes of overseeing a 2nd league win when Joe Bunny thumped in a header. And Swindon collapsed in a disastrous second half. Matty Lund, fresh from international duty with Northern Ireland, crashed in to extend the advantage. And then it was Davis at the double for Dale. Stephen Davis made it 3-0 at the 2nd attempt after a fine save by Lawrence Vigouroux. Then when he was fouled in the box by Brandon Ormond Ottewell, Davis got up and converted the resulting penalty for his 2nd and a painful 4th conceded by shell-shocked Swindon. Sherwood has quite a job on his hands.
Boardroom unrest, bottom of the division and 7 successive league defeats. Not good times at Chesterfield. And midway through the first half, their match against Fleetwood became depressing too. Amari Bell made it 1-0 to the hosts. An hour in and Fleetwood moved closer to their 4th league win in 7, when Victor Niranol scored the hosts' 2nd of the afternoon. 4 minutes later, the Spyrites had a glimmer of hope when Reece Mitchell was felled in the box. And from the resulting penalty, Jay O'Shea made it 2-1. But it wasn't enough. Another defeat for Chesterfield. Fleetwood move up 3 places.
Gillingham chairman Paul Scally says their current form isn't helping his recovery from heart surgery. 1 win in 8 and knocked out of the FA Cup. Cody MacDonald will have put those nerves at ease after just 2 minutes. But Gillingham are yet to keep a clean sheet this season. Their appeals for handball here fell on deaf ears, and Jason McCarthy scored his 2nd goal since joining on loan from Southampton. J. Emmanuel Thomas's free kick gave the Gills back-to-back league wins, helped by Max Amer's belly, all of it helping the chairman's heart.
These two relegation-threatened sides badly needed a lift at the Kassam, and it was the home team who got it, emphatically too. Kane Hemming started it off with the opener, his 7th goal of the campaign. And the writing was on the wall for the Sky Blues when defender Jamie Sterry was unlucky to see the ball cannon back off him and into the net for an own goal. With the interval still 10 minutes away, U's top scorer Chris Maguire was fouled in the box by Lewis Page, and then made it 8 goals for the season with a well-taken spot kick. And on the hour, when a Maguire shot was blocked, Alex MacDonald neatly sidestepped a defender to finish superbly to make it 4-0. Coventry earned a stoppage-time penalty when Shay Dunkley brought down Marcus Tudgay in the box. He didn't think it had been given at first, but then fired home. But his side are now 1 point off the drop zone as Oxford move up to 16.
So let's take a look at the table then. Chesterfield stay bottom while Shrewsbury are 2 points better off. Oldham remain 22nd and MK Dons are a point from safety.
At the top, Scunthorpe now 6 points clear of Sheffield United and Bolton. Bradford fall to 4th. Peterborough stay 5th and AFC Wimbledon are now back into those playoff places.
So another bad defeat for Bury despite sacking David Flitcroft. Charlton though with a win after sacking Russell Slade. But Alan, less than 6 months in the job for Russell Slade. You've got to feel he was a bit unlucky.
I think the last time I came on the show I was saying that I was quite infused that, you know, Charlton had gone for a British manager, someone that knew the league and would know the players and understand the club. And, you know, 21 games is it, and now he's gone. And, you know, we often talk about perhaps how volatile a manager's life is, but especially at the Valley at the moment, you know, they're not lasting too long.
So why'd you do it?
I feel on that subject, I feel for the Charlton supporters. That is a really good club, very loyal fan base. Have always, since you were there, Al, you turned that place round and got it going again, didn't you, when it nearly went bust? And to see it going back that way now, I don't know what the owner's doing. And who would even think of going there to manage that club? If you're out of work, you vote for that chance. But for the Charlton supporters, it's horrendous.
They'll be the 8th manager since 2014. Is it getting worse for managers, do you think? Are we seeing more clubs just going for change's sake?
Well, I think that, you know, as owners or a chairman, you've got to sit down and decide what sort of manager you want. Not who's available and who's out there and perhaps who's just been sacked. What sort of manager do you want? And I'm looking at Charlton at the moment thinking that, you know, that it's been such turmoil there for the last 2 or 3 years. They need something to settle them down. And I thought Russell Slade might have been the one. And perhaps he would have been if he'd have been given a bit of time. But apparently, you know, if you lose 3 or 4 games over there at the moment, you're in big bother.
It needs to come with a health warning, doesn't it, Martin?
So much choice as well. Do you want a Martin Allen or do you want a Steven Gerrard? You know?
Who knows? Right, stay with us for all the League Two action coming up next, including one of the goals of the day from Josh Sheehan that helped Newport move out of the bottom 2. This is Goal Rush on Football on 5 and our Sky Bet League 2 action starts with Plymouth, who are enjoying their best ever start to an EFL season.
Yeah, they'd amassed more points than any other side in the top 4 divisions prior to today's visit of Grimsby.
Despite that 7-point lead, Plymouth know this time last year they were 5 clear and didn't go up. They can't afford to lose focus, but they did allow Danny Collins to head Grimsby in front with his first for the club. Marcus Bignot is in just his third game in charge of the Mariners, but knows top scorer Omar Bogle well from their time at non-league Solihull. He scored his third in a week to double Grimsby's lead. And the rain washed away any chances of Plymouth keeping their 14-match unbeaten run. Tom Bolarinwa finding Bogle to make it 3-0 and bring Argyle's lead back down to 4 points.
That team really worked hard and there was a pride in that shirt, and that's what we want to do. We want those supporters going away and knowing their players have really worked hard for them and gave them a performance, and they've done that, and they've also given them a result which always makes it even nicer.
This was a 700-mile round trip for the Grecians fans, and it seemed well worth it when after only 40 seconds Ruben Reid scored the 99th goal of his career to put Exeter in front. But Carlisle, who finally surrendered the EFL's only unbeaten start to the season last weekend, were quickly level when Charlie White headed in his first league goal in 8 games. Exeter's away form is good though, and within 10 minutes of the restart they were back in front when the ball finally found its way through to Lee Holmes, who slotted his 4th goal of the campaign. But with the 150 visiting fans preparing for a long but satisfying journey home, Carlisle conjured up an amazing finale. Sean Miller headed them level just a minute from time. And then with 97 minutes on the clock, Nicky Adams' chip found Wyke, who after an inadvertent dummy settled the game in dramatic fashion. Well, it didn't quite end there. There was still time for the Cumbrians' Jamie Devitt to get himself sent off for a second yellow card. But surely even the hardest of Carlisle hearts will have spared a thought for those returning Exeter fans.
Doncaster were unbeaten at home in the league since March as they faced Hartlepool, but the hosts were lucky not to go behind when substitute goalkeeper Ross Etheridge gifted a chance to Porrick Hammond, who struck the post. However, from Etheridge's clearance, Darren Ferguson's side took the lead. John Marquis rose highest to head home his 10th goal of the season. Before the interval, however, the visitors had a chance to draw level. Hammond was fouled in the penalty area by Mathieu Baudry, and after a wait and a long run-up, he was precise with his spot kick for his 5th goal in his last 7 league matches. But in the very last minute of the match, Rovers made it 2-1. Marquis set up Liam Mandeville, and he gave the hosts their 10th league victory of the current campaign.
If ever there were a fixture that would be a banker for a score draw, it's this one. Every meeting between them has ended honours even. Dan O'Shaughnessy put the Robins in front midway through the second half. Away goals have been a rarity for Pompey, just 6. No one scored fewer on the road, but Michael Smith pounced on confusion in the Cheltenham box to score his first league goal of the season, ensuring that, yes, both sides share a point again.
Luton were unbeaten in their last 8 league matches as they travelled to Morecambe, and the Hatters were 1-0 up before the half hour. Top scorer Danny Hilton, complete with face mask, curled in a great shot for his 11th goal of the campaign. The early season table toppers doubled their lead on the hour mark. Isaac Vassell putting Luton in a very comfortable position after reacting first to the deflection off the bar. Hilton also with his own crossbar celebration. And insult was added to injury for the hosts, who were reduced to 10 men when this foul from Alex Whitmore on Ollie Lee earned the Shrimps man an 85th minute red card. Luton up to 4th, Morecambe slipped to 17th.
And so to Martin Allen's side, Barnet, whose hopes of giving the boss a tonic looked to have taken a knock when Ryan Lowe had the ball in their net. Crewe's celebrations premature. An offside flag meant it was still all square when the powerful John Akindi gave John Guthrie the slip and had the Alex goal in his sights. A win would put the Bees above Crewe in the chase for the top 7, and the visitors needed George Cooper's goal line intervention to prevent Michael Nelson from giving the home side the edge. Before the best chance of all fell to Akindi right at the end, a man who'd been directly involved in 3/4 of the club's goals this season, scoring or setting them up. This time, did neither. The final kick of the game was one to forget.
Right, let's start, Martin, with your game that you've just seen very brief highlights of. Good point, bad point, or a point's a point?
It's always a good point. The players played superbly well. We gave a debut as well to a 17-year-old today, so yeah, good point for us.
Word on Plymouth then, as well, unless you want to say anything else about your club.
You're playing them midweek, yeah?
Yeah, we play them on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, let's get on to Plymouth then. They've been on this brilliant run, real surprise defeat, but Grimsby, look, good with his big bogle axis working.
Absolutely. I mean, what was they, 7 points clear? Just a little correction. I think they've had such a wonderful... You can't call it a start now. So many games they've played. But you do get these sort of results, and you'd like to think that they're going to bounce back midweek, but they're playing Barnet, so we can't say that.
Yeah, Martin doesn't want to think. Are they the best team in this league, Martin, that you're playing next week?
Yeah, I think they are. Derek Adams has done a wonderful job because they lost in the playoff final, and then to turn that round the next season is always difficult as a manager. He's done very well. And we played Grimsby last week as well, and they're very good.
Yeah, so how do the two compare? Are they both going to be in the mix come the end of the season?
I thought we were outstanding last week at Grimsby, 2-2. The young centre forward you've seen there, Bogle's a very good player. Very good player.
He scored both, didn't he? He should have had a hat-trick, actually.
He missed the penalty, but he's a very, very good player, and he's one to look for the future. But obviously that's a great result for the new manager down at Plymouth, and no doubt we'll have our work cut out when we go down there on Tuesday night. Very quick final word from you. Is it tough to focus on a weekend like this when you've got that one coming up on Tuesday? No, we're all back in tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, so it's all back to work and get ready to go again. Well, it's been great having you in. Our next roundup starts at Mansfield, where Steve Evans is back in management, replacing Adam Murray, who resigned on Monday. The club actually called this the most significant and exciting appointment in its modern history.
The former Rotherham and Leeds manager has masterminded promotion from League Two before, and his first opponents were one of his old clubs, Crawley Town.
Steve Evans has wasted little time in making his presence felt, moving the dugouts at the One Call Stadium and talking his team up, and they responded. Chris Clements opening the scoring. Ashley Hemmings won't remember much about Mansfield's second. He was poleaxed, but referee Carl Boyson played a terrific advantage, which allowed Matt Green to tee up Pat Hoban's second goal of the week. Crawley keeper Glenn Morris probably won't want to remember much about Mansfield's third. He came for a ball he didn't win, and Green was again the provider for a terrific finish from Clements. It's now 4 straight defeats for Crawley, who did at least have the final word, courtesy of an own goal from defender Rhys Bennett. But Mansfield will feel they're on the march again, with a new manager who's settling in very nicely indeed.
I think the spirit of the team, the way they've embraced myself and the staff since we come in, and let's say it as it is, we've inherited some wonderful, wonderful people who want this club to win that bad. You know, they've got yellow and blue blood going through their veins rather than red, so they want to win.
Although they started bottom, Newport manager Graham Westley believes his side could be promotion chasers by Christmas. Not as fanciful as it sounds, especially as they were awarded a penalty when Josh Sheehan was fouled. Homekeeper Adam Collins saved Sean Riggs' spot kick, but couldn't keep out his follow-up effort, and Notts, dreadful at home this season, were behind. And it quickly got worse for them when Rhys Healy's rocket flew into the net, his third goal in as many games as Westley's side doubled their advantage. And his miracle before Christmas took another step towards possible reality early in the second half, when Sheehan, impressing on loan from Swansea, produced an absolute stunner to ensure the Newport fans might just get the present they want.
Blackpool hadn't won away in the league in their last 5 attempts, but were on course to erase that record on the half hour when Jamil Matt powered through for his second goal in as many matches. But if the Tangerines have been struggling on the road, Leyton Orient have lacked home comforts, and another afternoon of frustration loomed when Gavin Massey's long-range effort came back off the frame of the goal. Sure enough, Blackpool increased their lead just before the hour. Scottish defender Tom Aldred won't score many easier than this. Both sets of fans joined in a pre-game protest against their owners, but it's the O's with the bigger problems. A new unwanted club record of 7 straight home league defeats, although they did have the last word through Paul McCallum. Unhappy times in East London.
John McGreal was up for Manager of the Month in August, but 9 league games without a win have left Colchester hovering above the bottom 2. They took the lead here when Denny Johnston hit the bar and Curtis Guthrie had his first since September. An FA Cup defeat to non-league Solihull aside, Yeovil have been targeting the playoffs, and they turned this game on its head in the final 5 minutes. First, Francois Zoko, who scored in that FA Cup exit, equalised. And then Tavon Campbell profited from an assist from his own backside to score his first of the season. The Glovers move within goal difference of 7th. Colchester drop into the danger zone.
Just 2 points, but a whole 9 places separated Stevenage and Stanley in a congested League Two. Accrington had lost their previous 2 league games, and it became an unwanted hat-trick when Matty Godden squeezed the ball in from a tight angle. And a fine save at the other end by Jamie Jones to deny John O'Sullivan ensured the visitors completed their own rather more welcome treble. It was their 3rd successive away league win.
Victory for Wycombe away at Cambridge will be the Chairboys' first win on the road in the league since February, and they started brightly. Aaron Pierre fouled in the box by Mark Roberts, Paul Hayes putting Gareth Ainsworth's side 1-0 up after only 6 minutes. But then the real drama happened near the end. On 87 minutes, Uche Ikpeazu's shot hit a post, and George Maris thought that he'd earned the U's a draw. That was his first goal in the Football League. But in the 5th minute of added time, Pierre was again a thorn in Cambridge's side with a nicely taken goal. And that gave Wanderers all 3 points and lifts them up 6 places to 10th.
So that defeat at Carlisle sees Exeter drop to the bottom of the EFL. They're joined in the bottom 2 by Colchester. Newport, though, are out of the relegation zone.
At the other end, Plymouth's lead over Carlisle is trimmed to 4. Doncaster stay 3rd, Luton up to 4th, Portsmouth, Grimsby and Blackpool complete the top 7.
Right, that's it from us tonight. Our thanks go to Alan, and thanks and best wishes go to Martin. Stay calm, won't you?
Not a bad start then for the new men in the dugout today, particularly Steve Evans at Mansfield and Ian Holloway at QPR. Good night.